What is happening? Dirty South. This is the Dirty South podcast with Dan Ward, Brant Parsons, Jason Fulmore, Cabra, SC Wrestle, Ward Wrestling. Boom. I don't know where that came from, but here we are. It is regional
How
week
are
for the
you? How
boys.
are you the one yawning?
Hey, it's as Brant turns around to hit his dog.
Not hit my dog. I was snapping to get them to stop barking at the FedEx person.
just so you know, we can't hear the
All right.
we can't.
No barking. Jason Fulmore, you have your hand raised.
I don't know why. I think I put my hand up like this, and I don't know. It doesn't matter. Um,
Oh,
look,
man.
look. This weekend was crazy, right? And it's not just it's so for all the parents out there who might be listening, right? I know you're looking in at your like one bracket and trying to figure out kind of all the stuff, but we need to do a quick recap of all the chaos
Oh boy.
of trying to pull some region brackets together. I don't know why it's been so chaotic because the girls actually, except for Region 3, went really smoothly.
Well, and even now there's
Three
region
three of the
brackets
four
like,
region three of the four girls regions did have changes as of up to Wednesday. It just wasn't as debilitating as having 12 regions with people changing. To where
well,
even last night, after I had created all 12 region previews and had put brackets in, and images of brackets around lunchtime, from starting at lunchtime yesterday, put them in all 12 brackets. And then last night, as I'm going through, um, oh, I don't have that particular page in front of me. There's papers everywhere in this house. There were just making notes like, oh, there are one, two, three, four, five more regions last night that had changes either in the afternoon or evening. And my region previews are live now, and there's probably going to be people going, hey, this bracket doesn't match up.
well, but even
Because,
now, like I just opened up I'm trying to open up the brackets as we get ready to speak, to look at it, and I go to 2A Region 2 and 106 and 190 you can't open. They're not even set yet.
yeah. So,
So
this
you
is good
you
because
have fun running into stuff like that during your preview session.
I've been asked to spread the word, and this is a good um, place to do so. There's an email that went out to all coaches and all athletic directors, basically explaining how you get your what you should do to have your um, to help with seating. Apparently, people don't like reading emails. So what happened was track they built a criteria into track, and so when the district tournaments are sent over, they're collected for the region. Track then has the information if coaches did what they were asked to do to then seed based on the criteria that they created for it. You can argue another show about what criteria should be and does it unfairly affect people from other states and other countries. That's a whole other issue. But this criteria that was agreed upon and it is put in track. And then so what happened was there were a lot of instances where coaches did not input the information, did not have everything listed, whatever they needed to do. And so when they came over and track automatically seeded everything, some of them didn't have information to be considered for seeding, so they got knocked down. Now they're only seeding the four district champs, and that was chaos. So what?
Well, that's my question. If they're only seeding the four district champs, because I want to play that parent or that coach, if they're only seeding the four district champs, then isn't that the criteria? So, okay, these four won, move them over, that's it. So
No,
what
No, no,
is the
no. So
complaint? I want
the
to,
criteria is how you seed them automatically. Like this isn't a coach's room. It's not guys sitting around arguing. But I mean, this is automatic. Everything's entered into track, and track based on their criteria
so
list, like organizes them, rearranges them in order, and then puts them one, two, three, four, and then with the formula that is already created as far as which region wrestles or which district wrestles which
right.
district within the region.
So Dan, think of it this way. Think of it this way. All
uh,
right. Your number one criteria is head to head. Okay. And I don't know if that is, but it should be head
It
to
should
head,
be.
should be your
I don't
number
know if it
one
is.
criteria.
It's
Okay.
in most of the cases it looks right.
Okay. Number two, let's say it's last year's state place or whatever the case is. It doesn't matter. But let's take just those two. Let's say those two are the two criteria.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay, okay. 1 second. I understand.
Okay.
So, and
Well, it's okay if you
I'm
it's
playing.
okay because I
I'm
think we
trying to
should explain it
play.
anyway.
I'm trying. I want you to explain it, but I want to play stupid because I am stupid a little bit, but I want to play stupid.
Well, you're good at playing.
There's no
Okay,
big
Playing it
deal.
up.
so let me understand this. They say, okay, these four people, these four humans won the district. But
Yes,
that doesn't automatically make them one, two, three, and four. Now there has to be
it
a
does.
criteria.
Right, yes.
So yeah, they're going to be the
But
top
they're
four
one
seeds.
through four. They're the only
There are
ones that are
one,
going
I'm
to be
sorry, that
seeded.
automatically makes them the top four
One,
seeds.
two,
But
three,
now
four.
they need to have a criteria to decide who's one, who's two, who's three, who's four. So then once that's decided, then that's when the complaints come in because people are like, well, how did one and two in the state get on?
Well, so
Or,
again, to continue the example,
Yes.
let's say that Bobby Jones and I don't know, Henry Ford wrestled in the freaking I don't know, third week of November or
at the
the
model
third week of December.
At the
It
Model
never got
T Open.
My
recorded.
goodness, this is getting old.
Yeah, at the Model T Open.
Shut up. Never got recorded. If it never got recorded, yet that was their one head to head. And then what happens is this formula takes all that information in, doesn't know about that head to head, right? So it uses all the other information. The
Correct.
bracket gets drawn, and then somebody goes, "Oh, he beat him back in the, at the barn, like in
Right.
the third week of
But
December.
if you would have
Oh, we
read your
now need to
email,
fix
but if
this."
you would have read your email, you would have known to send that in before district started.
Well, I think it was 2 years ago. It was, mandated by the FHSA that all results
All
go on
results.
to track.
Right.
All results go on to track. If you don't run track during your event, then you go and put in your results after it. If you have a duel and you don't want to run it on track, that's fine. But then you take the scorebook and go home. I know a lot of coaches that do this. Take the scorebook home, you input it in the track, bam, it's in there. Every
But
single result
but
you
not
have
all of
during
them.
well, not all, no, a lot of them don't.
Right.
But every single result is supposed to go into track.
Right. That is correct.
And it doesn't. But then another email was sent out ahead of the postseason, kind of reminding them of this and saying, this is what you need to do for your wrestlers to be considered if they're a district champ for seeding. And it wasn't done by everyone. And so as you kind of pointed to, it became and I know a couple people were doing this. I don't know how many people were on this. I imagine it was just incredible manpower to fix brackets for 3 days, basically. And it's people saying, well, this person did this, he should be seated here. Why is my guy who's undefeated or whatever or has only lost one time, why is he seated fourth? Well, because whatever happened on the various inputs didn't register and track. And they fixed a couple things on their end. And now on the other end, if we get the coaches then to put everything in, then next year, I'm told like a 90%, 99% chance it goes through, everything will be set. And we won't be still changing brackets on Wednesday night.
Your outcome is only as good as the data by which it is based on. And if the data is faulty, your output's gonna suck. And that's
Because
just
you
the
know
way
why
it
the
is.
output's going to suck? Because your input sucked.
That's right.
So it
and
was lacking.
speaking-
I don't want to say it sucked. It just
Well,
wasn't
no.
there.
I'm not again. Okay, I'm not. Look, the truth is, this is the right way to do it, in my opinion. I don't hate the process. We have to go through this process.
It is a
but
learning curve.
but I will tell you, like, if everybody will just put the information in, this is not as much of an issue this week.
Yeah.
I
So,
think,
and
And
in
I believe
Alabama,
going forward,
if
I
you
don't wanna-
don't enter your data,
Yes.
you get fined.
Yeah. And I don't want to quote on this, but it's my understanding that they won't make changes next year. So if your information's not in there, your guys should be seated fourth and they're seated second, or all of a sudden they're seated, in a spot where they have a harder side of the bracket because you didn't input information. They're not moving it. My understanding. Now, I'm
I
sure
think what
We'll
should
see if that
happen,
happens.
we'll see if that
I
actually
think
happens.
what should happen, honestly, is if there's a 1 in a quadrillion chance that the FHSA ever sees one of our shows, and this happens to be it, They should come on to the Dirty South and we should do a seating show.
Just send them to me. I will put them in order. I'll send them back to you.
But
That's it.
speaking of brackets, I mean, look, I just pulled up.
Grant doesn't want to play with the rest of us. I want to debate
Yeah,
I
it.
know we can
yeah.
play, but I don't want people. I don't want.
No. And I'm
We don't have.
surprised
We
with
don't have
that
to be the
because,
EPL. We don't need full
well, I'm
transparency.
surprised,
We'll
Brant,
just
because
do
you
it.
had a chance to have a PhD, a doctor on your seating show, and you didn't take
That's
advantage of that.
true.
Oh,
I was just thinking
I got
as
one
far
thing to
as
say to
time.
that. So
I was just thinking as far as time. We could do a seeding show. Could you imagine seeding 12 brackets and 104? Let me tell you how many brackets there are when you have 12 regions. It's a
if we're
lot.
only seeding the 4 champs, I don't
It
think
goes
it's.
pretty
I
quick.
think you could totally make that happen.
yeah.
Maybe not on
So,
a show,
so
but like
listen,
in
first
a
of all, speaking of brackets,
2 hour
I
meeting.
just pulled up 3A Region 4 and 126 isn't up, 150 is not up, 157 is not up, 175 is not up. So they're still obviously
All
in
right.
the
So that's
process
some concern.
of, of doing some stuff. Yeah. And I see that throughout. I didn't see anything like that through 1A. It seemed like 1A went, I guess, to plan because all the brackets are up. 2A, there was some issues on one of them. And then 3A, I saw a couple regions that didn't have, one was missing 106, one was missing 2, one was missing 3. But, you know,
All right.
before
Well,
we
last night
start,
that yeah, I would say last
before
night
we
everything was
start,
there.
before
Hopefully
we
it comes
head
back.
down our state, Florida rabbit hole, I just wanted, if everybody was watching this weekend, LHP went to national preps and they
Hmm.
once again won it. That's back-to-back national prep
Yep.
champions. Um,
Man, I'll tell you what, they look good too.
Really good. They beat Malvern Prep by 60 points, which Malvern Prep was the second. Number two came up behind LH Prep. I mean, they had one, two, you know,
They
Liam
had like
McGettigan.
they had like 6 or 8 in the finals.
Yeah, so 106, 113, 132, 138, 144, 150, 157, and 175 were all in the finals. 113, 138 runner up. So you had Uh, Liam Davis and Yandel Morales came in second as runner-ups, and then the champs were, Reagan, um, DeCraker, I hope I said that right, DeSena, Moore, and not Nashvi.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Out of
um,
Illinois, I
they,
think.
they
I think it was
all
Illinois.
they all took home trophies, and then their other weights, Lucas Bowe and Colton Bell both came in with third place trophies. So, man, um, based on that, what do you guys think, man? What a run, huh?
Well, one of the things. So, I first, all the flowers to Lake Highland Prep
Yeah.
because back to back national prep. Day one, I think they were tied. Day one, they were tied for first with Blair, I believe it was, and their day two performance was absolutely fantastic. I actually sat and watched many of their matches in the semifinals and finals and everything else. They wrestled fantastic. But I will say, I'm going to go ahead and say a couple things. Number one is Baylor and McCallie out of Tennessee both finished top 10. But I
Yes.
mean, that is fantastic from the perspective of the Southeast.
Yeah, Baylor
And
with 159.5. McCallie came in 97.5. Yep. Uh,
yeah, and McCallie, I mean, many of the kids that actually were on that were making the podium at the knockout. So, it was super interesting to kind of see those kids and everything else.
yeah, shout
And
out to
then
them and Mike and everything he's doing down there. And I'm curious because I'm just a retard here. I know what Lake Highland Prep, Malvern Prep, Blair, and Sem are. Where is Greens Farms Academy?
so Green Farms Academy is okay. Green Farms Academy is either the one up in the Northeast or one in Pennsylvania. So
So tough. I mean, they came in about 40 points behind Sem as fifth place, but I had just never really, I mean, maybe I don't watch the prep circuit as much as I should, but I mean, I pay attention to LHP, but that,
yeah. I mean, look, I mean, for years it's really been. I mean, look, winning the national prep title is great because I mean Blair and Malvern Prep and Wyoming Sem and all of them have always been like top programs in the entire country, regardless public school or private school or anything along those lines. Um, but we do put it in perspective. It is not Iron Man. I mean, where you get, Buchanan and, a lot of public
Right.
schools and everything else. Um, it's a fantastic accomplishment. And for Lake Island Prep to win it twice, in back-to-back years, man, I'll tell you what, I could make the argument that this year's Lake Highland Prep team is as good as any Lake Highland Prep team that I've seen. I will say up top, maybe not as good as they were a year ago, but still, I mean, the level of talent within that room is unbelievable. And I love to see the Southeast teams, Baylor, McCallie. On the girls' side, there's a small little school called Mount DeSales, and Mount DeSales Academy has two outstanding girls who from Georgia went up there, and that team finished in the top 10 as well. And to watch the Southeast go up and like put it to the other teams across the country, man,
Yeah.
I love it. It's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, and we always hear like when you ever see those clips where does Florida rank in wrestling or where does Southeast rank in
Yeah.
wrestling, and then you see our teams or our kids sprinkled throughout these teams that are going up and doing big things. But I just wanted to shout out to Mike and his program and good for them. I know we're about to go down a deep dark rabbit hole
And
with
I want to add one thing because just about it also, and I'm going to piggyback off what I read in the Orlando Sentinel, and what I've had in nearly every conversation I've ever had with Mike is he came into Lake Highland Prep, and there were maybe 4 kids that lasted the first season with him. And on his first day, he said, "We're going to be the best team in the country." And he always told me that. And the first maybe year or two, you kind of go along with it. Like, yeah, 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 of course, yeah, you want to be the best. He's built that. I mean, it's been
Yes.
it's been an interesting road. You had like the change that came when they went to national preps and kind of got their footing under there, and it's a whole different kind of school now than it was when it competed in FHSA as far as the team. But he set this goal. He saw this program, this area, this team, this school as a place where he could build the top wrestling program in the country, and it was a school that maybe had one kid going to state every year, like a few kids in regions. I mean, it was not, there was no program there for him to have this, this, oh, we're just stepping in and fine tuning it. It was built from scratch. It was an idea that he had many moons ago. And it's crazy now to see, because it is just a national prep title. And as you said, there's top high school teams too, but now you're hearing people talk, or I'm reading people talk where they might be the number one team in the country this year. And
I,
that is,
right. I could make that
that's
argument.
quite
and
an
if
accomplishment,
anybody wants to
and
see
certainly worth
where
it.
Mike came from to where he is, drive by Lake Highland Prep's tennis courts, and there's a little shack where they keep the bow and arrows and the tennis bags and all that stuff. It's literally a little shack
Yeah.
on the end of the tennis court, and that was where his first little wrestling room was. And now they're building a quadrillion-dollar athletic complex there that is going to surround the wrestling program. And first of all, he's in a temporary place that might be one of the nicest places in the country already, right? And he's going to a bigger building. So just good for him and good for, everything
So
he's.
I want to say one last thing, and that is a lot of people will be like, well, it's not a Florida team, or it's this or that and everything else. The truth is, you look at Blair, you look at Wyoming Sem, you look at all those places, they're not Pennsylvania kids. They're not
They're
they're
Florida. They've
from
been
all
Florida
over.
kids.
They're from everywhere. And Lake Highland Prep is no different. They bring in kids from all over the place. And the thing that stood out to me, as I was having interactions over the last 3 weeks talking about Lake Highland Prep with different groups of people, is I had plenty of people here in the Southeast who sat there and said, why in the world would I ship my kid up to Wyoming Sem or to Blair where it's cold? If I'm going to put them anywhere, we're going south. Lake Highland Prep is as good or better than any of the other programs, and I get to go to Orlando, man. Like, I mean, so
And I'll be honest with you, there's
And I
five or
don't know what
six.
the education is at those other schools, but like Highland Prep, you're also getting like one of the best high school educations in the
I
state.
agree.
Yeah. And I think, look, 5 or 6 of these kids that either placed or won it have were either born in Florida or they came to Florida as very, very, very young kids, and Mike has built them, right? So Mike and, obviously Mike has a team around him
Yeah, he
and
has a team.
Yeah.
But
the
yes.
parents are involved and his wife does amazing things with the program, right? So, but you look down the list and I'm seeing kids that have been there since they were 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, um, so anyways,
Yeah,
I
well,
just wanted to do that and get that behind us
yeah,
because I
I
know
could talk more and more,
we
but
could talk about
let's
Lake
move.
Highland Prep for a whole show. And Mike, if by the slightest of chances you're watching this and you would ever want to come on for 10 or 15 minutes, and I know you're a busy guy, and talk about your world and what you've accomplished, you're always welcome. Um,
That would be the win. And I say this with love and respect for someone I've spoken to a lot over the years. Holding Palazzo to 15 minutes of talking, that might be harder than building the
Okay.
number one
Well,
program in
I
the
mean, we can
country.
block off one whole show for him. That's fine. But yeah, if he ever wants,
I
if by
say that
any
with love.
chance you wake up, Mike, on the right side of the bed, as far as social media and interviewing and all that stuff is concerned, because I know you're a very private man and like to keep to yourself. Uh, you're always welcome. But, with that being said, what a weekend. Obviously, girls wrapped up and they all punched their ticket to the state tournament, and congratulations to them, but we're not really, we did all the girls stuff last week. We may touch on
I
kids
want to just
games.
give some headlines
Yeah,
just
we
real
may,
quick of
Yes,
them.
we'll
I
throw some
want to. Yeah,
headlines out there for that. But the big thing is we've got, uh, you know, 12, 12 different regions, or well, 12
Hmm.
brackets, right?
12 regions
12
somewhere,
regions.
12 regions, yep, 12 regions to talk about,
14 weight classes,
and that's going to be a lot.
over
64
a
kids for
thousand
each
picks I
bracket,
made.
or for each weight class, for each region, for each everything. So with that being said, I know you guys wanted to start out by shouting out some girls or some headlines there. Um, Go.
Yeah, so I think that as the girls were coming in and we were looking across kind of the landscape, first and foremost, I wrote results for all four of them. Um, I think the seating was actually quite good, and it actually matched Brant's
Let's say, how did I do? I
rankings
know
pretty
I missed
close.
quite a few, but
You missed quite a few.
I think so. I don't know. I got to go back and actually look at it.
Um, you know, uh, but but I think that, and without getting into any real depth, because we just don't have time to talk about the depth of this. And the plan for everybody who's watching is, our plan is actually to maybe do a whole show for each of the different classes for the
Yeah.
state tournament. So we are going to be able to talk about the girls in much greater detail
Hmm.
and coming up in a few days after we get by Breach and Boys. But the thing that stood out to me was Freedom bringing 11, South Dade bringing 8. South Dade, tough because they lost a couple of girls I think could have made it. That would have made the team race that much closer. Vieira is in there. St. John Newman had a great run. Man, they only brought 6 to the region tournament, and all 6 punched their ticket. Mater Lakes, several other schools are in that kind of conversation and everything else. But man, I'll tell you what, putting 11 through for Freedom, that that puts them in a great position.
And I want to just talk about a couple of performances individual that stood out to me. First, 235, Zanab Murad out of Douglas. Remember
Yeah.
that name. I've talked about her a few times on this show. So if you've been paying attention, then you could have looked smart and told everybody. I don't know if anybody even could have seen this coming. This is a girl who started wrestling over the summer before the season started. I talked to her coach. He's like, yeah, she's here. She's been kind of trying out a little bit. She won the hardest region for 285 is region 4, and she stormed through that region
Yeah.
to win to win the tournament there. And she's my number one heading into next weekend. This is a freshman girl, uh, seemingly not around the sport that long.
Yeah.
Another one that stood out to me was Paola Perez,
Ooh,
and
yeah.
she and Rebecca Marin had close matches, so it's not like a huge shock, but the way that she won
Wasn't it 14-0?
14
Yes.
0. So the way that she won that one stands out. Kiera Partello, who
Yes.
lost to Grace Jawalski, came back, wins her fourth region championship. Her mom emailed me this week. Someday I'll get back to my emails. I think I'm at like 200 right now. Asking if I knew any other girls that had that many in their region. 4 region titles to win that one. Is there any that you were? It looked like you were jumping to say something there, Jason.
No, no, no. I'm actually 100% on what you were talking about. I can pull up some, or I could talk about some, but I was just agreeing with all the ones that you said so far.
And then I have one more to point out, and it's someone that people may not know at all. She's now number 1 in Cobra's rankings that came out this week. I had her 9 last week. I'm just waiting to see what she could do. She's a state champ from Kansas, I believe, Kansas or Kentucky. I need to relook that up. Veronica Madrid at Destin. Now, I've been told about her from some coaches up in the Panhandle area, and they're like, "This is the real deal. This is the real deal." Well, she looked like the real deal this weekend and just dominated her region. Uh, I feel I feel it's going to be tight. You have Crystal Desir back there from Forest Hill, who's a returning state finalist. We have not seen her wrestle a lot of the people in the weight class yet, but watch for Veronica Madrid, already a state champ. Moved to Destin this year, but she would obviously be Destin's first state champ. This is the first year they've competed,
Yeah.
and worked her way to working her way up my rankings.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was definitely a good weekend for the girls, and I think
And we'll talk more girls. We'll talk the
you obviously
whole
touched
girls
on
roster.
everything that needed to be touched on. With that being
Yeah.
said,
I mean, again,
we're
nice
going to
to see
go into
nice to
depth.
see Kendall Haney back. We could
Yes.
Great to see Kendall Haney back,
yeah.
yes, and what a time to come back to 120.
Alexa Caledonia, forgot to bring up her. She beat
Oh yeah, that was a great
Marino
win.
Rushing.
That's right. Yeah, we could talk about that.
But those are the
ad
ones that
nauseam.
stood out as I was frantically going through all of the rankings or all the results.
All right, so we flip over to the boys,
Boom, boom.
and without getting into talking about the districts, I know Brant, you're working on your previews, and some of them
They're live.
might
They've gone live
change.
while we've been recording this. There are 12 region previews live on the site. If you're a Cobber Plus member, you can read them today.
There's also
If
100
you're not,
million.
maybe I'll think about letting you read them once the tournaments start on the main site. But a lot of work went into this. I don't need to go into everything except for yesterday. I was up at 3:15 and worked until 10, and then started again this morning at 4:30, just because kept having to wait for those brackets to be correct.
Yeah, and if you guys go right into Cabra Wrestling, you'll see right here where
Yep.
3A1, 3A2, you've got everything up. So if you go over here, check out the regional previews, go to cabrawrestling.com, and you're able to see it right there. So take a look, read it. It's always good to listen. Jason and I read his stuff religiously, and it definitely helps us a lot, right, Jason?
Absolutely. I mean, I think we'd be lost without
Yeah.
it. So I don't know that I can confidently have a conversation. Not that I'm confidently doing that now, but absolutely. So for me, this week is always super interesting, because from a team perspective, this is kind of your opportunity if you're going to make a run to put yourself in position. A lot of teams will be bringing 10, 11, 12, 13, 4, or even a full squad to the region tournament. Region tournament's a whole other beast, and finding a way to get through the region
And
tournament.
they leave with 4.
That's right. You leave with 4, and so I'm a big kind of data person. That's kind of where I live. And I'll tell you what, the ability to put yourself in the right position, most of your qualifiers come out of either taking first or second out of a district. Very few times do you see a third and a fourth, unless the previous 1, 2, and 3 out of that district, like say District 16 and 3A, actually advances as well. So that happens as well. But rarely do you see a third or a fourth out of a district where the district champ does not advance, or
I
something
mean,
like that.
listen, I
So
was looking through, and I know we're going to go there, but for one example, I was looking at 144 at 3A4 this morning, and you could have like the top 5 kids in the state in the blood rounds. Like
yeah,
it's crazy because you've got Solis, Sagai, Rocco, Ilya Ivanimenko. I probably messed that up. Um, and then there's Pepper Kids in there, and I'm looking at it and I'm building out the bracket in my mind, and I'm like, wow, you could have a kid that could probably win another region, not even go to the state tournament. I mean, you've got Erickson Coney in there, and he's going to have a tough road, and he's a 2-time state placer. So brackets
well,
like that are wild. I'm looking at.
it happens every year, and that's just the way that plays. I mean,
And that was just
I
one off
mean,
the top of my brain, but I'm sure Brant could tell me about 17 that look like that.
well, I mean, you're talking about Kirilenko. The one brother wins the state title, the other one undefeated season last year too, and couldn't make it past the blood round because 3A4 was just so tough in that weight class for him. I mean, there's a few. I just looked at all 12. I don't remember. We don't need to go into details because,
Right.
well, we're running short on time anyway. But um, there are some where you have a region where you have 9 or 10 wrestlers that I have ranked in the top 16 or top 18. I, a few where there's 5 or 6 in the top 10 that you can't fit that many on the podium. There are really good wrestlers that won't make it through this weekend. There's some that got tough draws, not as many as it used to be, thanks to seeding, but there are some district runners up that fall into a spot on the bracket that is not advantageous for them because of who they wrestle in the quarters, and it sends them to the bottom. I mean, there are some top 10 wrestlers that I could not put onto the to the podium because they're going to wrestle someone ranked even higher in the blood round. It's a fun weekend. It's a sad weekend. It's a great weekend.
Well, and
Uh,
speaking of that, I looked at you have 129 or something upsets on your
I had a
website
few,
there.
170, I believe.
170 on there, and I looked through all of those upsets, and it's where the whole thing, what do rankings mean, or rankings of the whole thing, the motivational speaking that coaches do, which Jason would know because he was a coach. And you look through it, and there's so many unranked kids,
Doctor Coach,
doctor
Doctor.
coach,
Okay,
the
yeah.
PhD coach
Get it
that
right there.
that knocked off ranked kids, and it's crazy. I mean, but three stuck out to me. It was Rhett Durden at 113 at 3A1, knocking off Luke Mims at number 8. So it's an unseeded versus number 8. What a
Mm.
match. The other one was 3A10, 120, Nicholas Pela, knocking off number 7, Anthony Rodriguez. And then another big one I saw was Mizell Guerrero of Homestead that knocked off number 8, Elder Estrada. But I mean, those are three that really stuck out to me, Brant.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I love that. So, one of the ones that stuck out to me was Ferguson pinning Baxter in at 120, right? Wasn't that at 120?
yeah,
And not because I'm surprised by the result, but those are two kids who are like going to be in the hunt for a state title.
Right.
yeah. I mean, and it's as I wrote about in my preview for that. It's took a while, but that's a Vangina loss in Super 32. Um, where Baxter got the best of them there, so they're both capable of winning that match.
Yeah.
I
And
Yeah,
I,
no. Yeah.
I have one. Lucas Barrios beats Carlos Sainz. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
they
what a
they
good
went
match.
to a tiebreaker in that one. Um, that was my I think my only number one that went down, or no, but it's certainly one of the ones that stood out to me.
As I looked through this, and I hadn't looked at it before, but it looks like 2A1. There was a lot of
Oh, it was a
chaos.
mess. And the other thing with 2A1, and I don't know, I follow up with coaches after the season's over. A ton of guys missed that. I know some were injured. I heard some didn't make weight. But like if you looked at I mean, what 2A1 was crazy in all the upsets. I can count them real quick. It's like 15, close to 15. But
Yeah, it's a
there's probably
lot.
8 or 9 guys that I had ranked in the top 20 that didn't wrestle for one reason or the other. And I don't know that reason. May have been injured for a while and they didn't tell me. I heard some were possible weight issues. I mean, that was a wild weight class.
Yeah,
Talk
I mean,
about
the one you talked about was Baxter, and then you see Waring goes down to Cohen, and then another top 10 Lord goes down to Guilford.
I kept track how long it took me to go through every district. Um, the average time to go through a district for results and rankings and setting up for regions is 24 minutes and 29 seconds.
It's 29 seconds.
But
Well,
but 2A
if you
2A
got to
this is
30,
numbers.
I'd be concerned, but
This is for you, doctor. But the second longest one was 2A1. It took me 36 minutes
yeah,
to break down
that's doctor statistician to
bracket.
you.
I mean that I made this basically thinking about you, Jason. I was like, oh, he's gonna love this. Numbers
I
really fun.
do. I do. I
The
love the fact
quickest
that you're
one to
so
go through was
precise.
2A8. Took me only 17 minutes and 11 seconds to go through.
And and I
And
wanted
3A13 because there were no upsets.
3A13 took 22 minutes.
Okay. You
so
have them all on your computer. You have every single one.
I have time for all but three. So the last one I did in every classification was extended because then I was bit like since it was the last one, I was able to go through and make sure I didn't miss anything and kind of clean up. So that's each of those took like an hour to do, but all the rest of the districts I have how long it took me to go through from the start to the finish and go through every weight class, check my rankings, add them if they weren't listed on my spreadsheet, add them to my spreadsheet, and all that
and
stuff.
guys, that's because he has a lot of this in his memory. So he probably
Oh
looks
no,
at
this is everything's in
he
this.
looks
My
at
memory is
kids
this
and knows
Excel doc.
he knows who the kid is and what it's ranked. And
Yes.
it takes me 25 minutes just to look at 106, 1A, Region 1, just to look at it and look at his rankings and look at his stuff and match it up because I have to actually look through it even up. It's wild. But look, I wanted to
And
put
the
it
longest
there.
one was just since we're on the topic and we're just kind of shooting the S anyway.
Yeah.
3A16 took 42 minutes. It was also the biggest bracket with 120 wrestlers in it. So it had the most competitors, had the most ranked guys, had the a lot of
Well,
upsets.
I fully expect the breakdown based upon number of wrestlers, the ratio between the number of wrestlers and the time, because the bigger brackets are going to take you more time. So,
sometimes,
you know,
sometimes.
yeah.
My
Speaking of 3A16 real quick,
yeah, let's
shout
go
out
there.
to Palmetto, man. Like, Paget had a really solid win, I think, over
Yeah.
Nelson Hewitt. And then Gregory Jackson beat Caleb Williams. Anytime you get some solid wins down in
Yep.
District 16, man, that is
Why,
I
that's
why
mean,
don't you
and
have
for speaking of 16,
why don't
kudos
you have
to
Abby
Southwest
on here?
Miami for winning
yes,
and
absolutely.
Yes,
snapping
that is
the
Southwest Miami.
South Dade skid or skid the streak.
Why don't you have Abby on here? Is that not considered the people she beat is not considered an upset?
Well, she's ranked number one.
She was not ranked heading into the I
She's ranked number one.
she's ranked now on the boys side just for this week and next week. Um and I don't it's really hard to rank her. I even wrote about that in my preview. It's like I don't know where to put her. But
Right.
no, they weren't upsets because she wasn't ranked beforehand. And these are basically, I mean, the list of upsets, I know it sounds like a lot, 172. Sometimes it's like 25 beat 24, but I call that an upset.
Correct.
24 beat 23, or someone that I shouldn't have had ranked and they're ranked 22 and they lost twice. So,
Eight beats six.
that's listed as two upsets. But there were some good upsets.
But
Some
the
big
thing,
ones.
and I know Jason, you usually like to do this and transition us, but I know I did want to do that because there was some cool stuff there. I don't think we have time to sit here and go through all 12 regions, right? So
No,
Yeah, he's
I'd love
got
to,
what, 8 minutes?
well,
I got a few more than 8 minutes, but not much.
but my question to you guys, and Brant, you might be able to take us down this road is there's got to be some brackets that when you did your previews that you're like, let's look at these because there's some shit that can go down here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't write it. Unfortunately, I was still typing out the last bracket. The last Cabra says was written at 10:50. I mean, we got on here by 11. So I wasn't making notes when I was doing the region previews other than, just making sure that I ate and drank water and um, kept myself
So
moving. So I didn't mark. I don't
We
off
had
the
to
top of
get
my head. I
hydrated for
don't.
our show.
But if you go through, you'll see, and those are the ones that usually start off the cover says with "Oh my," because it's just one of those brackets.
So one of the things that just real quick, so for me, and this is going to be not nearly as in depth as we really would love to talk about, but if you take say 106 in 2A region 2, right, where you had Ethan Rayleigh from Brandon
That was a
beat
huge win.
Jackson Hackett to win it, but you've got not just Rayleigh and Hackett and Freehoff, but you also have several other wrestlers who are ranked. There's only 4 spots.
If you go to my 2A2 preview, you'll see the first words. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, 14 ranked, 6 wrestlers ranked in the top 14, 3 in the top 5. Uh, Again, thankful for for seeding because it presents I think fair paths for everyone. But I mean that battle for that 4th spot on the podium between Ryland Redfield and Zach Baczynski and Daniel Abreu. I have to go. I don't have the bracket in front of me, but I mean they're going. It's going to be a tough blood round. It might be a tough round to get into the blood round.
That's right.
To make that happen there.
And
And
just to
then,
be
and then
exact, it
does
says
Hackett bounce back and get Rayleigh in this one? Does Freeoff mess everything up and beat them both? It's that is a fun way to kick off what is probably one of the marquee regions with
by the way,
really
to be
gives the
exact, he
Stanford
said
Jesuit.
this is a tasty bracket.
I said, "Oh my goodness, this is a tasty bracket to start this exciting tournament off."
This is a tasty bracket.
Shrimp and
That was
potatoes.
that was my
Shrimp and
12th. Or that
potatoes.
was my 10th of 12 region tournaments I wrote this
Thanksgiving
morning.
at the Parsons house. Shrimp and potatoes.
Yum and corn
Yeah.
casserole,
I,
white
I
and
think
yellow.
you see kind of the same thing if you look over in 1A. You could spend some time down in down with Mater Lakes and that sort of thing. But as I was looking through it, I was looking at specifically Region 2. Cocoa Beach over there, Hernando. There's a lot of kids. Again, if you look at say 120, we'll just pull 120 out. You have Aquafreda from Cocoa Beach. You have Thierry from Merritt Island. You have these different individuals, but the battle to make the podium is going to be super fierce at 120 and 1A. It just is.
Braden Jones, Damian Quinones, Isaiah Hench, Jim McHale, Jackson, all ranked in the top 16. Hey, there's 16 people at state. All 4 of those are, I believe, are state quality wrestlers. Only 2 of them will likely get to go with Aquafreda and Thierry in that weight class. And that is a lot of there's a lot of weight classes in almost all of the regions like that where you're just like, oh my God, it's so. And then you have those that only have like 2 people ranked and someone's going to go. But there's a lot of really interesting blood round matches and consolations where that side is the side to watch because you know who's going to win or you know who's going to be the finalist, but you don't know who's going to fill those final spots.
I feel like printing all the brackets out and doing like March Madness and filling them in and seeing how we do.
You'll last for like 10 minutes doing that. Just wait till it's over and print them out, and then you don't need to fill them in.
Well, if it's over, then I don't know how I did.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how
Um,
I did. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, there'll be guys that'll lose early and they'll still make the podium, and I'll be like, oh, okay, they made it back.
And you
Yeah.
get a sticker, and you get a sticker, and you get a sticker.
I've already got girl, and I haven't responded to anyone because, again, I've been completely region preview focused. Some girls that reached out already, and they proved me wrong, and I need to send them stickers, and people will start proving me wrong probably tomorrow, like tomorrow, and certainly by Saturday.
I mean, I was going through a lot of these brackets, or as many as I could possibly go through since they finally put them up. And, there's a lot of interesting second round matchups. Like I've seen a lot of 8-9 matchups, a lot of
yeah.
11-14
Yes.
matchups, a lot of things like that. I
There's
mean,
a
I
three
know,
versus five matchup in one of the weight classes in the quarterfinals.
Well,
and
and honestly, that is so very important. So one of the things that I haven't done in the past, I want to do is kids who win the quarterfinal match, what their likelihood of actually end up
Yeah.
punching their ticket versus those that lose their quarterfinal match and have to fight their way back through. It's tough because if you lose a semifinal, to get yourself up against somebody who's coming back through, who's on a hot streak, can be an issue. But I'll tell you what, that if especially in some of these freaking regions, if you lose in that quarterfinal round, that path back is not easy.
Mhm.
It is a very
And,
difficult
and when
path.
you go through these brackets, like there's some regions where you're like, okay, whoever comes out of that, okay. And then there's some regions where you're like, oh my God, who's going to come out of that? Right? Like you have like two total different sides of the spectrums. Like you're sitting there looking at one region and you're like, man, it's anybody's game. And then you look at some other region, you're like, wow, what a bloodbath. And
Well, I mean,
wild.
take 3A 126, right? 3A 126.
3A,
I'm sorry.
which one? 3A.
Oh, I'm sorry. Region 4.
Okay.
Okay. One spot's done. It's gone. There's only 3 spots.
Yes.
Okay, because Tovar's taking one of them.
Yes.
Unless something like happens, there's no way in the world he's not taking one of those 4 spots.
I think
That means
both
you
of
have
those-
five kids in the top 7 in that bracket, 7 kids in the top 12,
yeah,
and one of
I
them
mean,
is Tovar.
right, and he's taking one of
He's
those
taking
4
that
spots.
spot. He's
well, I
probably
think you see that
taking that top
in
spot.
3A4, to be specific.
A
Is
lot
You
of
do,
yeah.
you do,
You
and you
have-
see it at
you
138,
have
and you
a
see it at
Lazaro,
144, and you see it different places.
right?
But
Like Lazaro
126,
Soto, right? Lazaro Soto is in one of those brackets. Um, Solis is in one of those
I'll tell
brackets.
you a
But
bracket to check
Solis's
out when he's
bracket
done.
with Rocco Ruiz and Mateus Sagai and Ilya Kremenimenko and
Ilya's
Eric
down a weight,
Coney.
isn't he?
Now
Huh?
that one of them is at
Ivan
140.
is there. So,
Ivan's at the weight with Solis,
but
right?
you've got Solis there, you've got Ruiz there, you've got Sagai there, you've got, I mean,
I
look, we
know
haven't,
you said it before, Coney, and yeah,
right, but Rocco Ruiz, when he's healthy, he can wrestle as good as anybody. I think, obviously people are going to talk about Solis and three-time state champ and what he's done and he's looked unbeatable over the last 3 years going to the state tournament. But that is a hell of a bracket to come out of,
no doubt.
Even being Solis, I think.
While we're doing this, take a look at 3A1 285, and while you're going to it, I will just point out that there are 9 wrestlers that I have ranked in the
I
top
love
13.
3A1 285
It is insane.
because it's not,
And
it's
they're
not,
all, I think
it's,
they're all worthy of being ranked where they are because they've beaten people in other regions.
they've beaten each other.
And they've beaten each other like crazy.
Right. I mean, the fact that Korth from Flagler Palm Coast took 3rd, I think, out
Yes.
of that district last weekend with Godbolt winning, man, that just sets up a wild, it could be a wild 285.
You have some wild cards. You have Tyler Duvermont from Ocoee, who has, I've talked to his coaches. He's only had 8-0 or 9-0, but he's been traveling for football on the weekends and he's doing all stuff. But his coaches say he's in our room every day. So at the weekends he can't compete, but they said he's in our room every day. So
That's
even
the Ocoee
even
kid,
those
right?
wild cards are out there.
That's the Ocoee kid, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we could see what, Cooligan versus Duvemont in the semis?
Oh, we could see Cooligan versus Lawrence in the semis. We could see Cooligan Logan 1-3 in the quarterfinals.
Woo!
In the top, you have Godbolt, you have Jules, you have Molly, you have Upshaw. It's even Morgan Hill from Lake Howell, who I don't even have ranked in the top 13, has had some good wins. I mean, Lawrence and Korth in the first round. It is insane how
Right.
deep and crazy this bracket is. Like when I think of brackets that when I sit down Friday nights and start looking at stuff, that's the first one I'm going to.
In fact,
see
Lawrence
how that first round went through.
Lawrence and Korth, if it had worked out differently, could have been your region final.
Yeah.
And that will be your region, that will be your region opening round match.
In some of the regions, that would be a region final.
That's right.
Region 4, I think the highest ranked heavyweight is 18.
As we're doing this, I was thinking to myself, next year we're gonna have to remember, what would be the most Like if we were just going to rank order number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 of the most difficult to make it to the state tournament,
Yeah.
you know, what would be the weight and the classification that would be number 1?
Yeah. I mean,
And I mean, and Dan's
it,
making his point for 3A, I think 144, which I mean, I agree with. You know, we're talking about 3A 285. We were talking about earlier with 2A 106. I mean, I don't know how you make the comparisons. I mean, it's gonna be it's tough.
in a better situation, coaches, if I was able to use the brackets that came out Monday, I would have had most of my previews done by Tuesday, and could have spent Wednesday prepping more for discussion of it instead of having to wait till Monday to have final brackets and have them still change. But yeah, because when I'm doing this, I'm like, oh my, I'm trying to pick, and just to know there's no bias in my picks. It's all done and fun and trying to produce, uh, produce some excitement for what I think is a fun weekend. But some of them, I don't even know how to pick them. I'm just like, I'm looking for a reason to pick someone over the other one because they're all so close and it's all so tight. And I'm like, wait, why do I have that kid ranked before him? And I spent 10 minutes like, oh, that's why. But I mean, there's a lot of those. I'd love maybe next year we can dig a little deeper in that. I'd love to
me,
even publish a story on that.
I love making picks.
You do.
You're like the king.
Yeah,
he's got RJ Lopez over there, or Alejandro.
Well, I'm like
Godbolt.
in 144, I'm rooting for. So if this was a Latin country, if 144 was a Latin country, I would be rooting for Giovanni Ruiz Segai Kirilenko.
There you go.
I'm not rooting for my picks. Let me just clarify here.
Maybe.
Let me just separate the words here.
And maybe
I don't care if I get them right or
maybe
not.
maybe Dash Coney. So we got all 5 of those. Dash Coney. So
I don't care if I get my picks right or wrong. I just want to clear that up.
Brant, you can clear it up, but every single time we're gonna come right back around to
yeah.
There's no rooting in the Parsons household for anything.
Rooting. All right, so I'm picking. Okay, we'll say I'm picking Giovanni Ruiz, Segai Kirilenko, Dash Coney to make a run at
No, that one you pick
144.
Giovanni first, and then you try to figure out the other thing.
All right, so I'm going to throw this out to the
Yes.
to the listeners, and as we get ready to do a much more in depth look at the brackets for the state tournament and everything else, Dan will pick who he wants to win. Brant will pick who he thinks will win, not who he's rooting for. I always like to pick out who the favorite is, or the bracket busters, or like a dark horse, a kid who's like finished third in their region who will come through and surprise a bunch of people. So we'll all kind of come with different things to our conversation next week. My question to you guys is, if you want us to explore, like, what's the toughest, what we think might be the toughest bracket to make the podium, or what might be this, or what might be that, send us a text or drop us a comment and let us know. Because, I mean, it just affords us the opportunity to have, what's the best first round match? I think that's always a great question. What's the best first round match at the state tournament?
Yeah, and I have a question. I know we've been breaking all this down, and I don't know that I have an answer for this question. I'd have to look at it more in depth, but I know with you guys being numbers and stats and all that, is there somebody, with all the upsets that came through districts and all the unseeded, unranked kids that came over, and obviously now all kids that are there's 25 new rankings because there's kids that were unranked that have now made the top 25.
There's 16.
For the girls.
Oh, okay. For the girls, there's a
for the
few
girls
that were not
16
ranked.
boys next week.
Just-
Yeah. By the way, is there anybody that came through the district tournament that's in the region that made your upset list that you look at and go, they got a chance at making the podium? As far as they were unseeded, they made the regional tournament. Not the upsets that are like Ferguson Baxter. We know those 2 guys are 2 of the best in our state, right? But is there somebody that you're like, wow, this kid could go on a run?
Well, so I
I'm
think
sure
you
there
could
are.
answer. I think you could answer that question, Dan, and maybe I'll just throw out a name or two to Brant, and maybe it might spark it. But if you just looked at who was ranked lower last week, like a Ryder Cohen who was ranked 10th at 126 out of Gulf Breeze and is now ranked fourth, he obviously has vaulted himself into a position that I would
That's a
think
really tough weight, by the way. 2A1, all four of those guys have beat each other. There's no set um real favorite in that. I think there's four guys ranked from 4 to 8 in that one, or 4 to 9. That's gonna be a tough weight class.
yeah.
And obviously I see and Brant has him listed here. We've seen that kid Xavier Brown go to a tournament like Greco and beat four of the top five kids in the state, and then we've seen him go to a tournament and lose to unranked kids, right? But he's a kid
But
that
that's the nature of freaking
somewhere,
high school
right,
Yeah,
but
high
kids,
school
somewhere
man.
in there,
kids.
there's talent
Why
that
can't they
this
just
kid,
do what they're supposed to do?
right, if this kid could get on a run.
That's what coaches say all the time.
Yeah. I say that to coaches sometimes. They're like, well, what about this, and this? I'm like, yeah, well, they keep beating each other. Why can't they just come in order and
How about this one for you, Daniel? All right, we'll throw out a name to wrap this up, and that is Misael Guerrero out of Homestead,
Yeah.
who is now ranked number 7 in 3A at 106. He had a great win last week over Estrada, and you're talking about somebody who wasn't ranked, who's now in the
Boom.
top 10.
And listen, he's in a Dade County room. He's all the way down in Homestead. He's got the twins there that are unbelievable with these young men and women in the room. And they've got another coach in there that does a good job. And you're starting to see that Homestead program start to spit out some tough kids. So
let me
shout
just
out to what they're doing there. And you
add
know,
one thing also, and as we aren't at every district tournament, we're not even close to every region, or whatever. Sometimes shit happens, and there'll be somebody who came out of nowhere and won last week that'll go 1-2 this week.
That is
And you're like, what
100%
happened?
right.
Well, you don't know that the top guy in that district, was battling a stomach bug,
Right.
or that guy has been hurt. He's out there with his knees all packaged up and isn't putting out every effort. They're
oh,
just trying
believe
to
me, I
advance. We don't know
know
those
the
things,
feeling.
and so sometimes you'll see someone jump up and then they'll disappear this week. That's my hardest part in picking. And there's one or two times where I believed or I chose to go the other way. Sains is one. I picked him to beat Barrios. I was like, well, that's not going to happen twice. It may happen twice. But we don't know like what happened in a lot of these tournaments. Like I'll have parents reach out to me and I'll have coaches and like, oh, the reason this happened is because he was wrestling on a bum shoulder. I shouldn't have wrestled him. Or my kid had a 102 fever the night before and was really struggled to make weight or whatever. We don't know those things
That's
when
right.
we're looking at track. They don't know,
Right.
illnesses and how people were
Well,
feeling
and
on a 9 to 10 scale or whatever. So sometimes these things that jump up are anomalies. Sometimes they are we had it
that
wrong,
is
and that kid is ready to, and he's going
100%.
to keep killing it this weekend and next weekend.
Absolutely. So I can tell you, I
Yes.
mean, we forfeited the region final way back when I was coaching for one of my kids because he was banged up, he was hurt, and really the difference between putting him in one position or another, it was not worth the match that was going to be he was going to have to put out. So,
Yep.
we just said we were going to roll the dice and do the best we could the following week and try to rest it. So. You don't know. You have no idea what decisions are made or why certain things have an impact or not.
And
So
we saw a lot of I say a lot, but there was a lot of final forfeits, like championship match forfeits, placing match forfeits coming
If
out of
you look
district.
at that though, a
I didn't.
lot of them were kids that have just come back from injury.
Yeah.
Um, there were more than a handful of them. I was like, oh, okay, they sat that one out. Well, they've only been back wrestling for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, or I know that they're hurt. A lot of the times that's what happens there. And they're just like, we're
sometimes
not
it's about just making the top four so you can move on to
right.
be healthier for a week from now.
Right.
Yeah, because there's no longer trying. I don't think that you can still try to play play the
Listen,
numbers now that
remember
I
I
see it
had a
at
kid
region,
that
try to
was,
figure out like the formula ahead of time and say, hey, if you finish second, you got a better
or you
chance. I don't
remember
know if that's as much now.
my own kid was sick and injured, and we had to forfeit once we knew we were in states, we had to forfeit out.
Yep. And that happens too. So
It happens.
actually, I mean, we don't know, and most of them will never know. Um, so it's just part of the fun of trying to predict how this will all go down.
So, guys, it is Thursday, the day before regions
Yes.
in the state of Florida. Um, First, best of luck to everybody. This is a big weekend, probably one of the biggest weekends of the entire season on the boys' side, especially for some individuals because some of these brackets are going to be pretty hard to get through to punch your ticket to get to the state
And
tournament.
there's a lot of seniors. Good luck to your seniors. I know
Absolutely.
there are some seniors that have never made the state tournament and are pushing to do it, and there's
We hope
seniors
you,
that have
yeah,
made the state tournament and want to make one final run at it. And you know, good luck, because I know as a parent who had a senior, I know the heartache of watching that last match. Ours luckily was at the state tournament. But still, when that last match of their high school career is over and
it's tough.
you're in the lobby laying on the floor with your kid and you're in tears and you're consoling them, it's whether they've won their last match or they've lost their last match, the same emotion seems to happen. And so good luck to all those parents that have to go
It's
through
a
that
hard
emotion.
weekend.
It is a hard
It is a
weekend.
really
I mean, I got the chills just remembering our moment as a family, and I hope your family enjoys the moment, whether they win their last match of their career or not. Just enjoy it because I don't know. I tell people a lot, man. I'd give my pinky toes to get 6 more minutes of high school with Daniel. So I'd you miss it, and the anxiety I had when he was there, I wish it was still going on, right? Because once it's done, it's done.
It is. It is.
So enjoy it.
Guys, tune in
I was
next
just yeah.
week, where we will be dropping a lot of our kind of take on everything. I anticipate just off the top of my head, we'll do a quick recap of kind of some of the region for, say, we're doing 3A, the regions really quick, and then we'll actually go into much more detail talking about breaking down the brackets and everything else. But
Yeah,
tune
not as
back
many
in. It's gonna
X's
be
and
fun.
O's this one. Next week, lots of X's and O's, lots of names, lots of breakdown, less
Absolutely.
hijinks.
Yeah. I
But to
am
be
off
honest, I
to,
haven't slept, so that's why I have hijinks.
good luck to
And we
everybody
have
this weekend.
Dan.
I am
No,
off
that's
to
fair.
Arizona tomorrow morning to go to RAF. So good luck to all the I'm sure not a single one of them have ever watched our show, but if somehow they did, good luck to all of them too, who are competing out there. Um, but if people don't know, I mean, the gentleman that is the CEO of RAF is from Florida, lives in the Tampa, St. Pete area, has a young man that wrestles over at BB, has been down here for a long time, and he's a local person. So to support the locals and our local wrestling is awesome, and I'm excited that he's
100%.
offered me an opportunity to go out there and enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
And now Dan is off. Brant is going to go take a nap, and I'm going to
I
go to work.
wish.
yeah, I'm going to get this
Got
show
kids
up
to
because
show for everywhere.
this way we can have it up before I get out of here. And listen, tune in next month because
Month
Month
next month?
three.
next month
Oh,
we got BB Trained is competing. Uh,
oh, that's right.
so I'm sure we'll have to bring him back on and have fun with that. But yeah, in the meantime, nothing exists for the next 2 weeks, I'd imagine, except the Silver Spurs Arena.
It's gonna be great. Can't wait.
Yep.
Good luck this weekend.
See ya. Peace. Well, once again, I got to find my browser.
Yeah, and now he's got to search for the